So let me ask you a question. So, as Moorish Americans, what do you think we should celebrate Kwanzaa?
No.
You say no?
Yes.
You say no? What you say? Okay. I mentioned stuff before we started. So hint.
I think the concept is good, though.
You say no?
I say no. I think the concept is good, though, as far as, the whole thing about it.
Okay. Of course, as we know, sometimes we can't study a person too much, but sometimes you have to weigh the good and the bad in a person. Even though a person may do something wrong, but it may have some type of good in it. Now, speaking about the creator of Kwanzaa, Maulana Karenga, was born Ronald McKinley Everett, 1941. He one that came up with this concept of Kwanzaa. Now, his things that happened in his past, whatever, of course, is questionable. Of course, we don't want to deal with. But the concept of Kwanzaa with the 7 principles, do you think as Moorish Americans it's something that we should look into, or do you practice it? Do you celebrate it? I'm not sure what the proper word is. But it popped up on social media. Of course, like Moorish Americans, should we practice Kwanzaa? Or should we celebrate Kwanzaa? Of course, it was going back and forth, back and forth. So, of course, I had to look into it myself and look into the principles of it and see, is that something that we agree with? So now I'm going to take a minute and just go through the principles. Now, the 7 principles, of course, the first one is umoja, which is unity. Now, with this unity, this principle right here, of course, is the first day, which is the 26th. Unity, it says unity in family, community, nation, and race. So now I got to look into how does this compare to what the prophet brought us? So now, of course, at first, let me look up unity, and of course, unity, the state of being in full agreement, the quality or state of not being multiple, oneness. Now, this is when, of course, we're moving on the same accord. Now, of course, for this one particular week, not everybody, a lot of people, they deal with Kwanzaa, so everybody, they post all about these principles, but are we following it? Because even though these principles, don't just do it for one day, this is something we should be doing all year round.
That's right.
Now, that's why with us, the first thing we say is unity. You look at all our symbols, you see a hand press, which we call the hand press of unity. So no matter what, whenever we see these symbols, whenever we come to the temple, it's always in us to be unified, not just that one day. But our job is to go out and uplift fallen humanity. So now if somebody come up here and speak about unity, I'm not going to condemn them you only do it for one day. That's what you believe in, say now I'm going to show you what Prophet Noble Joel Lee brought us, Islam. Now, going to the hand press of unity, let's go into the chapter of the Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 26, verses 9 and 10. Because like I said, because as it is, all the things that's going on in the world or whatever, I always try to take a minute. What does the Prophet say about this? And see if it's in his teachings or his lessons. Islam?
Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 26. Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 26. Holy instructions of unity, verses 9 and 10. But the wise man cultivates his mind with knowledge.
So now right there, we cultivate our mind with knowledge. Cultivate our mind with knowledge. So the man doesn't know by being told. So if something's on your mind, you got to look it up and do your research. So that's right.
The improvement of the arts is his delight, and their utility to the public crowneth with honor.
Islam. So right there, improving the crowd is our honor. That's part of our teachings. Like I said, just mentioned before, we're supposed to go out and uplift fallen humanity. That should be an honor. This should be something that's naturally in us. You see somebody's in a fallen state, mentally, try and help them. Of course, we can't help everybody, but try to help as many as you can. Islam.
Islam.
Nevertheless, the attainment of virtue he accounted as the highest learning, and the science of happiness is the study of his life.
Now, science, the study of his own life. Before you can go out and help anybody, like I always use, even when you're on the airplane, what the steward always tell you, if anything happens and that air mask drop down, you gotta save this, put your mask on yourself first before you go out and help anybody else, right?
Yeah,
So now if you out here moving on your lower self, how can you help someone else get to your higher self? I mean, just maybe ways or whatever, but it will come across better if you on that path. How can I tell somebody, yo, get on this path or whatever? Meanwhile, I'm just standing at this point, like, nah, go down that block, you'll be all right. But I never been there before.
Islam, Muslim. What chapter you on?
Oh, pardon me. That was chapter 26, verse 9 and 10.
Yeah.
So let's go a little bit. So now you can go into family. Because like I said, right now I'm just dealing with the first day, what you call emoji, what you call unity. So I'm just going to deal with unity. Now right there, it says unity in family, community, nation, and race. So right there, we just deal with unity. That's something we deal with. Even though we don't call it Kwanzaa, but we deal in unity, Islam.
Islam.
Now let's go into family. Go to page 3. You can start with the appointments.
Dear readers, do not falsely use these lessons. They are for good, peace, and happiness for all those that love Jesus.
Islam. So right there, the lesson they're talking about is this pamphlet, the Moorish Holy Quran. These lessons here, first you have to understand it, and you have to live this life. So now the individual, first you have to, like I said, understand this, because then, now I'll speak for myself as a man, so now if I understand this, and now I can go to my wife, so now I can help her understand it.
Dear mothers, teach these lessons to your little ones, that they may learn to love instead of hate.
So now right there, because we always heard, the mother's the first teacher of a child.
Islam.
Even when that child's in the womb, if she's going through bad experiences, that's going to affect that child.
Islam.
So now if you teach a woman, now she's going to hold this knowledge and she's going to pass it off to the next generation. Islam.
That's right. Islam.
So that's why first you have to know what you're talking about. You have to be on this path. And then when you get with a Moabitess, you get with a woman, now you can help her. And of course, because now she's going to pass it on to the children.
Dear fathers, by these lessons you can set your house in order, and your children will learn to love instead of to hate.
Islam.
Islam.
So now right there, that's just talking about this pamphlet. In the first page, it's talking about you learn these lessons. It can help you get yourself in order, and it can help the family get in order. Like I said, we see how society did. One of the first things they did is it took the man out the house. Then there was more stress on the woman. So now the moms have to work 2 jobs and all this and that. So now she's working 2 jobs or more, or on drugs or whatever the case may be. Now that's affecting the child. So now we have a generation coming up next. Now they lost. They don't know what path they should be on.
You working, Mo?
Like I said, this is part of unity. This emoji is the first day. It deals with unity. It deals with family. This is what we deal with. Right there on the first page of our lessons. Now, of course, even before, I mentioned, like, as a man, you have to study these lessons, but even before that, you have to save yourself. You have to try to elevate yourself as best as possible. Because before family, you have to unite with Allah, with the Most High. Right there, we go to chapter 3. Matter of fact, no, that chapter's too long. I'm only up here a little bit. But chapter 3, if you go to chapter 3 of the Moorish Holy Quran, it deals with the unity of life missions, the unity of life. That right there is showing you that how you got to connect with the Most High, the higher self, the lower self. Once you get into those degrees or whatever, now you want to step closer to Allah. So if you're on the right path, then definitely your family will follow.
Islam.
And again, of course, we're talking about family. We don't have to go into it, but you can just read off the chapters 20 to 24. much to go into every little thing. That's why I'm just giving you a rough outline of like how with the prophet brought us, you can study these lessons and then you can use it and take it out to the world. So a lot of things that's going on out here, once you study with the prophet brought, like, oh yo, like this brother here, he brought this out in 1967. Prophet Noble Drew Ali was talking about this stuff in the early 1900s. Just like before we was talking about, he was talking about other organizations. And it's like, the simple thing is the Moorish Temple of America was here first, 1913. So all these other things, when people listen to all these other groups, now you come back here to the source.
That's right, Muslim.
Yeah.
Chapter 20. Holy instruction and warnings for all young men.
So now right there, that's instruction for the young men. So that goes in right there. As I said, you take these lessons, you can teach it to your wife, and the wife will teach it to the next generation. But even as a man, you're in the house now. Right here, this talks about for the young men. This right here tells them, the young men, like, be careful of the woman that you choose, because that choice that you make right now, that's going to affect you for the rest of your life. So it tells you, like, the woman with the lawn, she wears so much makeup, she speaks loud, and pretty much, she's out there and about, whatever. No, that's not the one that you make the wife. That's not the one you bring home. Of course, I'm paraphrasing. That's not exactly what it said, but you get the idea. And right there, it's so much that's into it. Because like I said, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought us so many beautiful lessons. And that's just one chapter. I'm just going through some of the chapters.
Chapter 21. Marriage instructions for man and wife from the Noble Prophet.
So now right there, as a man, you come up, now you find the right woman, and now everything is working out right. So now we even got instructions on how you should work with each other. So right there, a unity between the man and woman. Right there, you got knowledge, wisdom, and of course, understanding.
Islam.
Chapter 22. Duty of a husband.
So you're right there. Duties of a husband. So now, a man, if he ain't doing it right, so even if the sister, she has these lessons, whatever, and she gets with a brother, and she already knows, like, yo, wait a minute, he ain't acting right, man. Right here, the prophet right there, he laid out plans for us as duty as a husband, what to do. Not just a baby daddy or nothing like that, but as a husband. But if things don't work out like that, of course, he's the father of the children.
Chapter 23. Holy instructions for thy children.
Yeah, now that right here goes into that even for the children. Now we spoke to the man, spoke to the married couple, now we're dealing with the children. There's so many lessons in here. This is just dealing with the first day of what people call Kwanzaa. How it deals with unity, family, community, nation, and race. Right there, we're just dealing on the first day what the prophet on board us over 100 years ago.
Chapter 24. The obedience of children towards their father.
So now, of course, the father's doing good, the mom's doing right. Now you're raising the child. Now you're going to put that child on the right path. So now right there, it goes into more lessons on how the child should be acting. But again, now go on to, I spoke about family, unity, family. We go into community. Now what's community? A group of people who have the same interests, religion, race, etc. What is our religion?
Islamism.
Is that an old time religion?
Old time religion.
Okay, all right. So it sounds like a group of people who have the same interests in religion. And of course, race.
Right.
Now right there, it's so much in that. We go through the prophet literature, the Moorish Holy Quran, the one-on-ones, which we just read from, Moorish literature. Let's go skip down a little bit. Let's go into race. A family, tribes, people, or a nation belonging to the same stock. Another definition, a class of kind of people unified by shared interests, habits, or characteristics. You got Moorish literature. Prophet makes a plea to the nation. Now, right here, now he's talking about the race. And again, I'll just go over that again. A class of kind of people unified by shared interests, habits, and characteristics. Now, when you come into Moorish Temple, obviously you're going to see people who have shared interests, shared habits, and characteristics. And that's why we give honor to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Brother. Let me help y'all.
You in Moorish literature? Sheik?
Yeah, he needs it.
Got it?
Right here, I got it. But this is also Moorish literature. This is stuff that was printed up first in the Moorish Guide in the early 1920s, and then someone put it in book form. But here again, like I said, we was talking about race. So now we just go into it. The prophet makes a plea to the nation.
That's it.
If you have race pride and love your race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America and become a part of this divine movement.
So now right there, he talks about the race. So right there, we already definition of community, race, a family, tribe, people, a nation, a class of kind of people, unified in shared interests. So right there, now Noble Drew Ali, who saw we were, the state of mind that we was in. Our people was Negro, black, colored, North, and so he saw that was wrong. So now he's like, yo, as a race, let me try to get my people back on point. Islam. And right there, first thing he starts off with race. If you love your race, I love my race. That's why I stand up here.
Islam.
I'm sure I love myself. That's why I go through this Moorish Holy Quran. I read it on the regular, the Moorish literature, what the Prophet brought us up. Not only just read it, study it, and try my best to live it.
Islam.
Then you will have power to redeem your race, because you will know who you are and your forefathers were.
That's right. You would know who you are. Because right there in our one-on-ones, even though there's questions right there, what are they talking about? We are not black, colored, Negro. You go out there right there right now, like, yo, what are you? What do you put down on the paper? I'm black, I'm colored, African American. Those old names given to us by the Europeans, by us putting this down right there, just saying, yeah, so I'm still your property, I'm willingly your property. Right. Prophet Noble Drew Ali came and take us out of that state of mind.
Because where there is unity, there is strength.
Again, we go into the unity. Still giving unity.
Together we stand, divided we fall.
Islam.
We good with that. But that's just some of it, because, we could be here all day just reading the prophet's literature, and then some. Now, finally move on to the second day. All that was just the first day. And you see how the prophet ties into what the prophet brought us. The second day, I can never pronounce it, but self-determination. To define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. Now, this is supposed to, one day, so-called Negroes, they really emphasize this. Well, some. A lot more. They do it all year round. It's beautiful. But now some of those are unconscious ones, or those who are still mentally sleeping, this one day they kind of wake up like, oh, yeah. But then after New Year's, after they don't party, they don't hung out, whatever, they go right back to the Negro, black, colored ways.
That's right.
Now, as far as naming ourselves, you can go into Keys 85 to 91. This is what you read at the beginning, but I want to go into it a little bit, expound on it a little bit.
The one-on-ones. Keys, number 80, it's 84, I think.
Name some of the marks that were put upon the Moors of Northwest by the European nations in 1774.
Negro, black, colored, and Ethiopian.
Negro, a name given. That's how it starts. Where did we get the word Negro? Negro, a name given to a river in West Africa by Moors because it contains black water. 87. What is meant by the word black?
Black, according to science, means deaf.
And that means political or social science.
That's right.
We ain't talking about the color itself.
88. What does the word colored mean?
Colored
means anything that has been painted, stained, varnished, or dyed. 89. What does Ethiopia mean?
Something divided.
Ethiopia means something divided. 90. Can a man be a Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian? No. 91. Why? Because man is made in the image and after the likeness of God Allah.
So now right there, I just went over that again to let you know, these names that people are going by, that's names that the Europeans gave us. So why are we still going by names that they gave us? Because right there, we still saying that, yeah, I'm your property. And that's why the prophet Noah Julie came in. That's why one thing he said, we angels, we Asiatics. What's our race? Asiatic. What's our religion? Islamism. He came to wake us up. And again, we go into, even before that, I should have went into, what should we call him in the Moorish literature? But like I said, I'm just tying in all the 7 principles and seeing how it affects us, or is it something that we can get down with.
He's in the Moorish literature. What shall we call him?
But right here, again, this is Moorish literature, something that the prophet brought us. And again, we read stuff, you have questions, you go back to what the prophet brought us and see pretty much if it makes sense. Again, this is going to the Moorish literature. This is something that the prophet brought us.
What shall we call him? So often our various journalists find trouble in selecting the proper name for the Moorish American. Some say Negro, another will brand him race man. Still another will call him Afro-American. And then come colored, dark American, coon, shine, the brethren, and your folks. It is indeed a hard matter to find something suitable for the various occasions where a title needs to be used. Is it that these people have no proper name? Did they have a national name when first brought to these shores in the early part of the 17th century? If so, what was it? Did not the land from which they were forced have a name? It now appears a good idea for those whose duty it is to write for the various journals to find out what the national name of the forefathers of these people was.
Islam. And I'm going to another time, like what these people's name was that came over here during this slave trade. But even then right there, to go and name ourselves, you know what I'm saying? We haven't named ourselves by going by these names. So that's why the prophet again, he says, not to call yourself this. And of course it said also self-determination, to define ourselves, name ourselves, to create for ourselves. That's what we do. Without the inventions of the Asiatic so-called black men, black people, this place would be in the chaos. We'll go back to medieval time, dark ages. And that's just the fact. You just take a time and just look up so-called black inventors and see how many things pop up.
That's a fact.
Just run through it quick right here. Alexander P. Ashbourne, he came up with patents between 1875 and 1880, process for preparing coconut for domestic use, a biscuit cutter, process for treating coconuts, refining coconut oil. So now you look at all these products, and you know how people, we like to do natural products for our hairs and all this and that. Now you see coconut and all this and that. You got to think this man, that's how they even know how to come up with this coconut oil. George Edward Alcorn Jr., X-ray spectrometer for distant galaxies and 19 other patents. So now when you're watching, like I watch some of these Discovery Channels and National Geographic, when they show all these pictures and out there in deep space, we able to see in deep space, we got to thank a brother for that.
Islam?
W.B. Bell's ladder and scaffold. I thought about that for those who know. For outside, we had a ladder and scaffold going on for years, but a brother thought about that. So when they outside this building, you see all the ladder and scaffold, a brother thought about that. He invented that. He created that. L.C. Bailey, back in the 1883 and 1890, combined truss, which is a special belt that is worn by someone with a hernia. Also, it could be to tie up tightly to prevent movement and bandage. So now that means that whenever you see an ambulance or out in the war, you see somebody get hurt, whatever, they get that little gurney, they strap them down so that person can't move. My brother came up with that concept and how to do that. You can imagine how many lives that done saved. Folding bed, same brother. a device that moved trains shifted from tracks. Whenever you hear on trains, especially in New York, oh, we had switching problems and all this and that. My brother first came up with that. Islam. Let me fast forward here. Okay, fast forward. Gerald A. Lawson, 1940, transcended 2011. He invented the modern home video gaming console. So all this, we all know, whether you play it or not, you know about these game consoles and all that. My brother came up with that. Let me see here. Patricia Bath, 1942, she's still living. Cataracts Laser Phaco Pro. Her device used an innovative method of removing cataract lenses with a laser, which was more accurate than the drilling-like instruments that was common at the time. So now when you hear like, oh, you got a problem with your eyesight, whatever, oh, go down and get the laser surgery. Sister did that. But I just want to fast forward. In fact, I'm almost end up here because I don't. This demonstration just for like this week. But I'm just saying that you see how the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Which one was that? That was the second one. We only got to day 2. Self-determination. What else do we have here? Collective work and responsibility. To build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems. And to solve them together. Well, we just got to go into that. Chapter 25 about the Moorish Holy Quran. Again, let me read that. To make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and to solve them together. Now, this stuff is something we was doing it before. How you think places like, which of course we always know, heard of, Black Wall Street, they was working together. They was making it happen. Islam? Go ahead.
Islam. The sister, first I rise, giving proper praise to Father God, Allah, give honors to all prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius, and these prophets of the last day and time, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, name is Jeffrey and Ron Gideon, greet y'all in peace. The sister, I think, in Queens, she had the business, a young sister. They robbed, I think they robbed and they killed her. Wow. Recently, she had her own business, she was doing good. Yeah, they robbed her and they killed her. She was real young, I think she was in her early 20s. This happened like probably, I think yesterday or the day before. Yesterday, yeah.
So having to do with the lower self, no unity.
Yeah.
So now somebody here doing something right or whatever that could possibly help out the community.
Big time, yeah.
But as far as with like helping our brothers and sisters out and make our problems each other, go ahead.
Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 25. A holy covenant of the Asiatic nation.
Yeah.
Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given you suck.
So that right there is saying you got one mother and father. That right there is kind of symbolic. You're saying that how we all one. We went to the Moorish one-on-ones and talking about Adam and Eve. Go ahead.
Let the bonds of affection, therefore, unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house.
Bonds of affection unite. So no matter what, even when we leave out here, we're supposed to be united. So we see a brother doing bad, whatever. Like I see this brother, he got an issue, man. You need some help. You got to come help out.
And when ye separate in the world, remember the relations that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thine own blood.
So now right there, this is just what we do right here. This is not just for right now. Or we just here for a couple of hours, we put this on. Even we out there in the world, whatever, like I said, we all definitely have work schedules and all this stuff, but whenever we can, you give a call. Sometimes you may just need someone to talk to. That's why your brothers is here. That's why your sisters is here.
If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all, in your love to each other.
Islam.
I'm just going to finish up with the next one. The next one, day 4, which is cooperative economics. To build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. And right there, you just said the sister just had a shop. Unfortunately, she met with her death. But right here, we talk about John Gibbons Elder. We talked about before. Under him, a lot of business was sprouting up, and that was in the 19. That was after the proper transition. That was like 30s and 40s.
Early 30s, yep.
So right there, and even throughout the prophet's literature, we don't have time to go into it, but he speaks about economics. He said our biggest problem is economics. We're not being taught economics. We're not teaching it to our children. He was saying this in the early 1900s. This is our biggest problems. So when someone like this brother comes up here in 1967, it's like to the Moorish Americans, like, yo, that's you like 50 years behind, more than 50 years behind. But we need to keep waking up people up. And of course, we go into purpose, of course, creativity. We know we creative people. We don't have to go into that stuff. And of course, it's faith. The last one is faith. It was to believe with all your heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, in the righteousness and victory of our struggle. To believe with all your heart. Now you see, this path that we're on to try to help wake our people up, if you don't really believe it, it's not going to happen. That's why our Grand Sheik always tells us, like, if you put it in your mind or whatever that it's not going to happen, it's not going to that's what's going to manifest. It won't happen. You have to go in this world wholehearted. And of course, talking about our parents, we already went over instruction about the parents to the children and what each parent should be doing. Our teachers is mentioned in our laws. Out from our Sunday school come the guidance of the nation. It's on that teacher. Like right now, we went through a split. But before, there was a time we had the teacher back there, we had children over there. But right now, we're in a rebuilding process. Because right now, usually we have the little young ones up in here.
That's right. That's
for them to be around this and feel this positive vibes, whatever, that lays a positive foundation for when they go out into the world.
That's right.
And that's the 7 principles. So now again, do we celebrate it? Me personally, I don't see nothing wrong with the principles. The man who behind it, whatever, nobody's perfect. But the principles is something that is throughout our teachings. So with that, I say Islam and peace.
Peace.